One metaphor, end to end. The front stage you finance versus the backstage ledger you keep. There is a version of you that everyone gets to see. It drives a certain car. It wears a certain watch. It picks up the check at dinner, upgrades the seat on the flight, and never, ever lets the show look cheap. That version has a name. Call it the front stage. And then there is a second version of you that almost no one will ever see. It isn't a car or a watch or a feeling. It's a single page, a quiet column of numbers. What came in this month, what left this month, and one honest figure at the very bottom, what you actually kept. Call that page the backstage ledger. Here is the strange part, and I want you to really sit with it. The front stage costs money, real money, every single month, whether you can afford it or not. The backstage ledger is free. It is a pen, a page, and 5 minutes of telling yourself the truth. One of these two things drains you, and the other one builds you. And almost everybody pours their entire life into the expensive one and leaves the free one completely blank. I'm Neo, and this is Modern Wealth, the channel where we make money and modern systems make sense without the hype. Today, we are going to do something quietly radical. We are going to close the curtain on the performance, and we are going to open the one page nobody keeps, because the most expensive thing most people own is the show, and the cheapest thing almost nobody keeps is the honest record of what they actually retained. Let's go backstage. Let's start where the money actually goes, because the front stage is not cheap. It only pretends to be. It markets itself as success, as having made it, as freedom, and underneath, it's one of the most expensive things you will ever finance. Look at what the loudest version of wealth actually costs. The average new car payment in this country now sits near $767 a month. Read that again, $767 every month on average. And almost 1 in 5 new car buyers is now signing up for payments above $1,000 a month. $1,000. For a lot of these buyers, the car is already underwater the moment it leaves the lot. They owe more than it is worth, with the average negative equity borrower buried more than $7,000 deep. That is not transportation. That is a stage set. It is lighting and a backdrop, financed at around 9% over 84 months, and sold to you as a feeling.
Now, hold that picture against the people who actually have the money. When researchers study real millionaire households, not the people who look rich, the people whose net worth is genuinely high, the picture is almost disappointing. Roughly half of them have never paid more than $399 for a suit. The most expensive watch the typical millionaire owns comes in around $235. The single most common car brand they drive is a Toyota. And among households pulling in $250,000 a year or more, about 61% drive no luxury brand at all. I want you to feel the inversion in that, because it's the whole episode in one idea. The people performing wealth are very often financing it. The people who actually have wealth usually stopped performing a long time ago. The front stage is the single most expensive thing in the building, and it is quietly draining the exact margin it is pretending to signal. The costume isn't proof of the fortune. A lot of the time, the costume is the reason there isn't one. And listen, I'm not going to pretend the pressure to perform isn't real, because it is crushing. 41% of people earning between $300,000 and $500,000 a year still say they feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck. Payday lending runs near 400% APR, which turns something as simple as needing cash before Friday into pure extraction. And 43% of Gen Z report a kind of money dysmorphia. They genuinely cannot tell anymore whether they're doing fine or quietly drowning, because everyone around them is performing too. When the entire world is a stage, of course you feel like you have to keep dancing on it. But here is the line I need you to carry out of this first act. Performing wealth is expensive. The retained invisible margin, the part nobody claps for, is the thing that actually changes a life. So if the front stage is where the money dies, let's go find out where it's actually supposed to live. Here is the uncomfortable second act. If the show is this expensive, you'd assume the backstage ledger must be packed with detail, that every household is carefully tracking what survives the month, watching the one number that matters. It is not. For most people, the page is completely blank.
Start with the national savings rate, because it tells the whole story in one figure. Across the country, the personal saving rate hovers around 2.5%.
2.6%. That means for the typical household, almost everything that comes in goes right back out the door before the month is over. Nearly the entire paycheck walks across the front stage and exits the other side. And what stays behind, what actually lands on the page, is a rounding error. It gets sharper. 59% of people say they could not cover a $1,000 emergency out of savings. Not a catastrophe, $1,000. A car repair, a medical bill, a broken appliance. More than half of the country would have to borrow or sell something or panic. And the median emergency fund has slid down to around $5,000 against the buffer that people themselves say they'd actually need that is nearly double that number. The cushion is half the size we already admit it should be. And before you tell yourself this is purely an income problem, that the answer is just to earn more, I need you to hear this clearly. It isn't. Six-figure households live paycheck to paycheck too. You can earn a genuinely great salary and still have a completely empty page, because income is the spotlight, not the ledger. The spotlight only tells you how bright the show is tonight. It tells you absolutely nothing about what you kept when the lights came down and everyone went home. So this is the real diagnosis, and it's not the one people expect. It is not that families can't do math. It is not that they're stupid with money or hopelessly irresponsible. It is that nobody is keeping the page. The performance is fully staffed, financed, scheduled, lit, rehearsed, and the one single document that would tell you the truth about any of it is sitting in a drawer, blank. And you cannot improve a number you refuse to even write down. You can't manage what you won't look at. Which means the fix is not a brighter spotlight. It is not more income, not another app, not a slicker dashboard with 12 colorful charts. The fix is almost embarrassingly old-fashioned. It's a page, it's a pen, it's a habit you run at the end of the day. Let me show you the exact mechanic, because this one small ritual is what actually moves the number.
Every real theater has a ritual at the end of the night. The audience files out, the house lights come up, and somebody sits down and closes the books. They count what came in at the door, they record it, they reconcile it, and they lock it. That ritual has a name in business. It's called the nightly close. And here's the thing almost no one realizes. That exact ritual is the entire mechanic of building personal wealth. And you can run it on yourself, tonight, for free. This is where a practice called kakibo comes in. It's Japanese, it's more than a century old, and underneath the unfamiliar name, it is almost insultingly simple. It is a handwritten notebook built around one narrow gap, the space between money arriving and money leaving. Not an app, not an automated feed, not a synced dashboard that does the thinking for you. By hand, on purpose. Every night, you close the curtain on the day and you write the real number down with your own hand. And the reason it works has almost nothing to do with optimization. It works because of awareness. Something changes in your brain when you have to physically write down what you spent, because suddenly there's a witness. The money can't slip out in the dark anymore. It has to walk past you and sign the page on the way out. Studies of hand tracking show people often trim their discretionary spending by 15 to 20% in the very first months, just from the act of writing it down. Some report cuts as steep as 35%. Nothing about their income changed. They didn't get a raise. They just stopped letting money leave the building unrecorded. Let me make this concrete, because this is where it stops being theory and starts being your actual life. Take the $6 workday coffee. On its own, it is nothing. It's a small pleasure, it's $6, it is genuinely fine. But run that $6 across a month of workdays and it's about $126. Run it across the year and it's roughly $1,500. Now, I am not here to take your coffee. That is not the point at all. The point is that the coffee was never actually the problem. The problem was that it never once appeared on any page. It lived entirely on the front stage, invisible, unrecorded, repeating, $1,500 a year, and you never got to make a single conscious decision about it. Maybe you keep it, maybe it's worth every penny, but now you chose it instead of it choosing you. That is the whole power of the nightly close. You are not trying to be perfect, and you are not trying to punish yourself. You are simply refusing to let the month happen to you in the dark. You write it down, the number gets honest, and an honest number is the very first thing in your financial life you've ever actually been able to change. Everything starts there, not with more income, with one honest page. Now here's the part that makes the boring page genuinely worth keeping, because if it just sat there, none of this would matter. But it doesn't sit there. The margin you retain compounds. The front stage spends, and the spending is gone forever. The backstage page keeps, and the keeping grows. Those are two completely different physics, and almost nobody runs the numbers on the difference. Start with where idle money quietly goes to die. A big bank savings account paying around 1/100%, 0.01, pays you about $1 a year on $10,000.
One single dollar, for $10,000 of your money sitting there for an entire year. Now move that exact same $10,000 into an account paying 4%, and it pays you closer to $400 a year instead. Same money, same safety, same effort. The only difference between $1 and $400 is whether you ever opened the page, looked at where your cash was actually sitting, and moved it. That gap is the price of not looking. Now let the page run over time, because this is where it gets beautiful. Put $300 a month into a broad index fund at around 7% for 30 years. Over those 3 decades, you personally contribute about $108,000 out of your own pocket, and it grows to roughly $366,000. You put in 108, you end with 366. The page did the rest. And you can push it harder. Redirect about $700 a month into that same kind of fund for 30 years, and you are walking toward $850,000. Nearly $1 million built quietly, off stage, by a habit no one ever saw.
But here's the cruelest, most important detail in all of that math, and I need you to really hear it: the delay. If you wait just 5 years to start, you don't simply lose 5 years of contributions. You lose the most powerful compounding years the entire engine ever had. The early ones, the ones doing the quiet heavy lifting at the very bottom of the curve. Time is the part of this you can never buy back later, no matter how much you eventually earn. The page rewards the person who started keeping it first, not the person who earned the most. And while the Backstage page is quietly compounding upward, the front stage is compounding downward at the same time. Most people just never see the second meter running. Carry $5,000 on a credit card at around 21%, and that balance costs you roughly $1,100 a year just to continue existing, just to sit there. That is the front stage running in reverse, paying a premium every single year for the privilege of continuing to perform. So really, you have 2 engines bolted to your life. One is loud, financed, and bleeds you about $1,100 a year going the wrong direction. The other is quiet, written down, and turns $300 a month into $366,000 going the right direction. The boring page out-earns the loud show. It is not close, and it never has been. You just have to be the kind of person who actually keeps it. So let me leave you with the one comparison that breaks the entire illusion. The one that once you see it, you genuinely cannot unsee. Picture 2 households standing side by side. The first one earns $10,000 a month. Big income, bright spotlight, a front stage you'd envy. And they never keep the page. No nightly close, no honest number, every dollar routed straight back into the performance. The car, the dinners, the upgrade, the show. The second household earns $3,100 a month, less than a third of the first one. A dimmer spotlight, a smaller stage. But every single night they close the books. They write the real number down and they pay themselves first, before the show gets a single dollar.
Run that forward, and the $3,000 household outsaves the $10,000 household. Not eventually, not barely, meaningfully. And not because they earn more, because they earn dramatically, obviously less. They win for one reason and one reason only. One of them keeps the page, and the other one only keeps the performance. The spotlight lost to the ledger. It almost always does. That is the entire lesson, and it's the thesis I want you to walk away holding. Wealth is not what your money displays. It is what you keep, write down, and protect when nobody at all is watching. The front stage spends precisely to be seen. That's its only job, to be witnessed. The Backstage page keeps precisely because no one is watching. There's no audience to perform for back there, no applause to chase, just you and one honest number at the bottom of a page. So here is the only homework that actually matters, and it costs you nothing. Tonight, close the curtain. 1 page, 1 pen, 5 minutes. Write down what came in, what left, and the real figure at the very bottom. You do not have to fix it tonight. You don't have to feel good about it, and you don't have to have a plan yet. You just have to stop letting it stay invisible. Because the moment it's on the page, for the first time, it's yours to change. The show will keep asking for your money. It always will. That's all it knows how to do. Start keeping the page instead. I'm Neo. This is Modern Wealth. Keep the page, and I'll see you in the next one.